The Pulk Sled. Those things are awesome because they allow you to carry some extra gear when you're heading out in the backcountry or out on the ice or whatever. But they're also horrible. And that's because these things in the deep snow, they just plow. They were great, but they were great as long as you're on a hard packed surface, a snowmobile trail, crusted up snow, that kind of situation. So today I'm going to convert my Pulk Sled into a Smitty Sled, and here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to show you. It's very simple, and I'm going to use mostly just materials around the shop, scrap wood, and a set of skis that I picked up in a thrift store. Let's get started. Let's go through this little project. Let me begin by explaining exactly how this process is going to be playing out. So I got my ski, and my skis are going to be fastened to the underside of the Pulk. Build some risers and then some cross members for the Pulk to be fastened down to. So I have here a piece of scrap wood. I'm going to mark this out. I'm going to figure out all my calculations, cut this down to size, and then I have a couple of pieces of pine strips. And those are going to be the cross members going across, and the Pulk is going to be fastened down to the top of this. I'm going to add some fasteners in order to rope it all off to be able to pull it, and also to tie down any load that I'm going to put in here. And once all my pieces are cut, I'm going to move out of the garage because it is currently minus 15. It was minus 21 when I got up this morning, so the garage is quite cold. So once I have all the dirty part of the job completed in the way of cutting all my wood, I'm going to go down into the gear room and we're going to finish off in there. I'm going to begin by removing the thrift store price tag, and then the bindings, off they go. Now the next step of the process, I have to make sure these skis will actually fit in the bed of my truck. So a quick measurement so we can cut that off later. I also want to ensure that my overall height is not going to exceed the top of the bed of my truck, as I do wish to keep my tonneau cover rolled out as much as possible. After that, a quick transfer of measurement to the other ski will allow me to cut them both the same length, and then we can move on to marking out the risers. Alright, so I did my layout, penciled it all in, then I used the Sharpie to blacken it out so the camera can pick it up well so you guys can see. So this is my riser. I have to cut 3 inches off the bottom, and then this will be the top, and then this piece will be fastened to the, like this, going across, and then the Pulk Sled will be fastened to this cross member. So now I'm going to cut out my first piece, and this will be my template to make the other 3. All my pieces are cut, and the next step that I want to go through here, do a mock-up, make sure everything looks okay, and then I'm going to paint all my wooden pieces before I go move on to the assembly. And I also have some hardware that I've purchased in the way of D-rings, so I'm going to show you all that as we go along. Project is moving along very well. Let's keep on going. It's day 2. and all my pieces are dry like that. These would have never dried in that cold garage overnight. Alright, the next step of the process, I'm going to pre-drill my cross members because I don't want them to split out when I put my screws in. I'm going to start assembling. Once I get my risers put together, then I'm going to get the skis on my little makeshift workbench here and start centering everything, and everything will start looking like it's something's going on. So let's get started with the pre-drilling. Oh, and I also have some hardware. I'll show you that when the time comes. I'm going to install that as well. They're very important to the build. So let's get started. Now there's no need to get fancy with this. I'm just going to put my cross member on top just as a lineup. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a mark with my drill. I can double stack these and go back to the two little marks that I put on there and drive it home. Okay, let's move on to my risers. And I want to start working on these D-rings. What are you doing barking at the window? Hmm? Yeah, don't be like that. Don't you be barking at people at the window. Okay, on two of the risers, I put D-rings on the front, and they are mirror image to each other. You'll see why later. It'll all make sense. I'm ready to put together my risers and my cross members. Let's do that next, and then we're going to move on to a bunch of measurements on the skis because I have to center everything on the skis. Let's go move on to the cross members. And I did pre-drill the large screws, or else I would have split the block. So I've moved on to measuring this ski. Obviously this is not a Swiss watch, just a Sharpie, some quick tick marks, centering everything accordingly. And my risers are going to be a span of 28 inches on each ski. So that's what I've marked out there now. I'm going to invert those measurements on the back side. I'm going to pre-drill my skis, and I'm also going to countersink the skis for the screw head just like I did with the risers. So let's get started with that next. You get the idea. It's a lot of measurements. Make sure everything is squared off. Everything's fastened together, but now it's starting to really look like something. Let me give you a visual before we fasten the Pulk sled onto this framework. Once I have my Pulk all centered up on my framework, just a few carriage bolts. Don't have to be crazy with precise measurements. Just eyeball it, drill it through. Let's fasten it all down and get it done. There's one more step after this. Well, the only thing left to do now is to take it out and put it to good use.